teams. His shadow was so large because of what he did.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station. Right now on Word Radio. Well and woke in the black community. No more sick and tired. A special Lomax Legacy panel discussion. Part of Word Founders Day. Watch live right now on Word TV via Facebook. Featuring Dr. Carol Penn, osteopathic physician and mind-body medicine expert. Dr. Paul Hopkins, naturopath and Word host. Dr. Beverly Toporowski, medical doctor and energy healer. And Dr. Ian Cyrus, doctor of acupuncture and Chinese integrative medicine. And now, your moderator for this Lomax Legacy panel discussion, Word host, Envy McKee.
Ow! Welcome! Happy Founders Day! I see you, Kayla J. This is a new setup. I'm not used to being in here. I normally host from the comfort of my own office, but I am glad to be here. I'm grateful to be here. This is so beautiful. Welcome. Happy Founders Day. Yes. And also this wonderful panel, no more sick and tired. We woke and well. I love that. Because when you really think about how we got here, right? We're looking at, I call these activated times. And if you really look at how we got here, we are in the middle of a pandemic. I'm in a room with people with masks on, right? And this is not our fault. But it is our responsibility to look at this moment and say, okay, how do we transcend this? We can, we can be upset about it. We can look at how we got here and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, we are 100% responsible for how we show up in the world. And so I am grateful to be here on Founders Day, representing the legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax, who, as you know, was passionate about health and wellness. You know what I'm saying? And word has it that Miss Beverly made sure that happened. You know what I'm saying? We were crunchy. You know what I'm saying? But the gorgeous thing that we get to do on these airwaves is we get to look at the times, and as black and brown and indigenous people, we get to say, well, what will we have instead? You know, we get to vision the world that we want to live in, a kind and just society. Some call it the beloved community. And these are gorgeous times. They look crazy. Don't get it twisted. They look crazy. But these are gorgeous times because we get to birth the world that works for us, works for everyone. And so with that said, we have put together this fantastic panel of amazing black people that are doing amazing things in the field. Hi, everybody. So what I'm gonna do, because it's like 11 of us, I'm going to say the name, and you're gonna raise your hand. So folks, I mean, you can see it on the screen, but we're just gonna do that anyway, because I like to take roll, okay? Dr. Carol Penn, osteopathic physician who specializes in mind-body medicine and meditation.
Here I am.
Yes, you are. Hi.
Hi.
Dr. Paul. We know Dr. Paul. Hey, how you doing?
What's up?
He's a holistic practitioner. But all these doctors, this is making me real, you know what I'm saying? Dr. Beverly Toporowski, medical doctor and energy healer. How are you, Dr.
Hello.
Beverly?
How you doing? Dr.
Ian Cyrus, acupuncturist and doctor of Oriental Medicine. Hi, sir.
Hi.
You're the last.
How are you?
You're the last man there, so it has to be.
That's okay.
So this is a fabulous conversation to have, because we are in really unusual times where if we look at it, I don't like to think in terms of, the doom and gloom, but if you look at it, we're kind of at, resident zero. We're at the base level, and so we can build from anywhere, right? From here. Everybody is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so it's we, the woo-woo folks, those folks that have been in this space, considered the fringe, right, who are recognizing that this is our moment. where we get to shine in a space where, you know, traditional ideas of things, you know, they're not working. So we have to begin to look into the metaphysical. We have to begin to look into the body as a whole system. We have to begin to look into, you know, our planet as a whole system, and we are out of balance in it. You know what I'm saying? We have to begin to look at our roots and our indigenousness and pull some of those roots forward. So whoever wants to start, when you look at these moments, you know, what comes up for you as we begin to birth the beloved community? I know it's a bit, I start heady.
Well, I can speak on that. I'll just start off. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Be live and in color.
Yes, honey.
Yes.
I want to say that, you know, yes, Ivy, you're absolutely on point when you talk about everyone searching for a holistic approach, because it really is identifying that we have to go back to our roots. You know, when you talk about the imbalances of what's happening around the world, everyone's scared, you know, and they don't know what to do. We haven't seen anything like this on this planet. We've had pandemics before, but never like this, where we're in a state where people don't know what to do. So we have to do things and look at it from a holistic standpoint, which means spirit, mind, and body. What am I doing? You know, I always said 2020 was the year for unveiling. The 2020 being actual vision and removing of the veil for whatever was going on in your life. So everyone gets a chance to really examine it. But yes, we are going back to our roots, you know, spirit, mind, and body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll jump in and comment. First of all, I just want to say, I think all of us on this panel are grinning because we've all interacted with each other in other forums, and it's been a minute since we've been together. So we could just, you know, turn off, shut the cameras, get together and be in a room and just exactly. So Envy, thank you for hosting this panel. You know, so, you know, Dr. Ian, you know, my personal acupuncturist as well as colleague and friend. And I have been on panels with Dr. Beverly and Dr. Paul, have interviewed both of them. And it, you know, it is so exciting to sit in the space of evolutionary consciousness.
Yes.
I'm also seeing this period as a time of evolving consciousness. It is the evolution of the consciousness that I feel will contribute to possibly saving the planet.
Yes.
And the billions of people on this planet. And this is the space that all of us have been working in from our different vantage points for many, many years. So this is just a wonderful synergy to come together to have this conversation. And I just know that the force of all of us combined is actually a type of medicine. And people that are witnessing and hearing this talk on this Founders Day are going to experience a type of healing because of the consciousness that's right here, right now. And what we do when we get up from here today, as we continue to all walk in our purpose and invite this evolutionary growth of consciousness into the planet at this time.
I'll go next. I'm feeling very just grateful to be part of this panel, grateful to be part of this day. I think that we are, as you said, in a very pivotal time, in a very pivotal moment where we can look at everything that is happening and sort of see it as this co-happening, that there's no coincidences, that things are lining up perfectly, that, you know, like you said earlier, although things look a certain way, there is perfection unfolding. And that this is a moment to look and say, what do I want in this moment? And to come into a place of realization that it's already here, that it's always been here. And I feel that the energy that is just all around us at this time is just very ripe for rebirth, very ripe for healing, very ripe for reconciling just with ourselves and just understanding what's real and how we are completely connected to and in control of on some level in terms of us being the creative beings that we are, what happens to us and what happens next.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. How am I going to follow all of that, right? But at any rate, all right. So I did off that. Okay. I see what's happening here. People are scared because this is I consider this an extinction event of some kind. And historically, and I'm a big student of ancient history and ancient mystery schools, and this period was predicted. If you look at every mystery school dating back 250,000 years
we bringing
ago.
it mystery schools? Oh, come on now.
Okay, yeah, what we're experiencing here is right on point. But the key is that this is an opportunity for us for self-evolution. Okay, this is an opportunity to really go down the path of the road less traveled, and that's inwards. So people are really starting to, I mean, in my Oriental medicine practice and as a leader of a Buddhist group, yes, I'm an ordained Buddhist priest as well. So I see people reaching inwards, and the interesting thing about that is I would like to see those of us of color move in that direction. I don't see it enough. Okay, I don't see it enough. So hopefully we can inspire those who are participating and listening on this panel to choose the path of self-evolution. This is an opportunity to redefine who we are.
That is a beautiful point, and it's a great place to start, because when we think of health and we'll say wellness, but when we think of health, when we think of our sick care system, the idea is that we don't know what's going on in our bodies. And so we go to this person outside of us, and that person is going to tell us what is going on in our bodies based on a group of symptoms that we might be having. And that's kind of how we do our religious practice. It's kind of how we do, just basically everything that's going on in the way our society looks is separated. It is disjointed. It is, I don't understand me. Even how we parent our children. You don't know what's going on in you, and so you don't know anything, and you listen to me. So we're always looking outside of us to get information, and we learn not to trust ourselves. So as we are, looking to a different way of viewing the world, as we are kind of bringing ourselves back into the fold, or uncovering that we aren't separated, that we're actually one body, we're all together, and start thinking in terms of rather than lack, that we already have it all, we were born with it all. What do you think are some first steps to begin to peel back those layers of ourselves? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, anybody can answer this in the panel, because you're all, in this space. But I'm wondering, from your unique perspectives, what someone might do to take a step in the direction of wellness and wholeness.
I'll start. This is Pandora's box.
Right? And he's
okay. This is Pandora's box. I think a lot of that has to do with the way we've been educated. It has to do with epigenetics. Right? That memory of the trauma that we as a people have suffered for so long.
Right.
And the education system that keeps us that fog in our heads. Okay? So we really need to understand how we came to be where we are. We really need to understand that. And I think that's the key. If we understand our history, which, most historians only have us human history going back 6,000 years, and we know that's not accurate. And we know that civilizations has risen and fall over the millennia. This is nothing new.
Right.
Okay. So I think when we get educated about what we are, who we are, where we came from, then our path forward is going to be a little bit clearer. That's what I think about that.
Okay. What about you, Dr. Paul?
Well, yeah, you touches on, and you're right on, spot on. You know, when you start to identify with your identity of where you come from, it means a lot because it depends on how do I approach this from a holistic standpoint. You know, when I see more people that are, you know, self-examining themselves now, you know, now everyone is now saying, well, what is it that I'm not doing? Now you have the time with, now you can't go to work. You can't do the things with your social groups. You can't go anywhere.
I don't know. There was a lot of cars when I was on my way here.
They're probably going to the park. You know, they're probably going to the park. But the whole point is that people are really self-examining themselves, you know, on a deeper level. You know, finding out really what, you know, they're learning, you know, to re-emphasize their relationship with their family. Some people work at different times of the day and never see each other. Now they're seeing each other. Now your children.
And you're like, you know what? I really like you.
So, yeah, exactly. So you're starting to introduce, people are finally meeting their children.
Listen.
You know, and I say to myself, you know, this is a time for self-examination. You know, no better time than the present as a divine appointment as now for you to get it together. And now when people start to examine themselves, they're looking at their bodies. They say, well, you know what? I always wanted to start a weight program to get this weight off. You know, I always talked about, you know, wanting to get my mind right. I find so many people are, you know, just can't deal with sitting still. Now you got to sit still. You know, we call that decompression time. Some of the people are so stressed out that you never had a chance to even take the time to just realize what the space was going on around you or the people. So that's why it's a opportune time. I think we need to take the best of this time. You know, we as this holistic group of practitioners, we've always promoted this for many years, you know, that this one day would happen, that we would revisit the creator and the creative universal principles that we all have to live by and not get caught into the world itself. And we can get carried away with the world and lose ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. And that's a very interesting point that you make. And there are two parts that came up for me in my awareness. Now, the first part is, while yes, we are learning to examine ourselves and to look at ourselves and to really take a look in the mirror and see, have time to, you know, notice what we're looking at and, you know, up level if we need to, change some things, move some things around. But what do you say to the folks who they're getting so much information that they don't know what to do with it? And I know you know what I'm talking about. You got folks who, you know, they seem sane. You know, they seem perfectly reasonable, but they do not appreciate science. And right? You know what I'm talking about? They don't appreciate science. And so they don't want to, it's almost like they don't want to fall in line because they don't trust anything. And so you have this kind of weird dynamic where you have people who feel more empowered, but they're also empowered to do more stupid things because they don't trust. Like, you guys are all physicians. You are educated people. You have been practicing this work. You are clinicians. Right? So it's like, we go to people who study this work and we hope, you know, it's supposed to be, I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's supposed to be a dance. But what would you say to the folks out there who are like, I ain't wearing no mask? This was a pandemic. Even if it was, you get where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Okay. And you all said it at the same time, so you know what I'm talking about.
Y'all want to take that?
Dr. Beverly, I saw you had your hand up.
I think to those people, sometimes it is about education, and sometimes it's about, you know, someone having already made up their minds about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And so sometimes there isn't room, I feel, for conversation about things that are require any kind of science, that just, you know, pretty much require common sense.
Listen.
So those things, I think, we can educate, but for folks who have made up their mind, there needs to be a decision about this is happening. You know, you can get on board or not, and we have to make make a decision, I think, as a country as to where we're going. We can't wait for everybody to get on the same page.
That's a very good point.
And this is how really, things have been perpetuated. There's inconsistencies, and then I'm complying here, but I'm not complying there. And so I think in some of those other countries where you do have a little bit more of where people don't have a choice, I think the one thing that they do have is that everybody is on the same page. And there are some things that at some point do not become democratic, like wanting to live.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
You can only see the world through the same lens you see yourself. So, I mean, do you think that this is speaking to something deeper? And if it is speaking to something deeper, is there something that, like, I'm a firm believer that those who can must. Is there something that we can do? Those folks who understand that everybody's not going to get on board because folks want to argue over the basics. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a way that we can kind of take a step for those around us? If that makes any sense? Is there like...
It does, and I really think that we need to stop waiting for any kind of national leadership on this. It's not going to come from where you think it might come. Right. I've not experienced this with any other federal government before. Whether I agreed with the person or not, there'd always be some voice, a unifying voice that would come forth at that level. So we can stop waiting for that. And I think the leaders that we're been waiting for are, sitting in the same seat we're sitting in now. And so I think our charge is that we have to lead by example. We have to be the common sense example. We have to be the heart-centered example. And we have to invite others, enroll others, encourage others, inspire others along with us. One thing here in the United States, we have a bunch of people that don't like to be told.
Listen,
we just
don't tell me nothing. I know everything.
That's, just a part of our culture. But we do have people who are willing to be inspired. So if you can, as a leader, as a person who is able to provoke thought, if you can come to that altar of silence and sacredness, the internal altar within yourself, your own path to wholeness, I think there is then a chance to enroll others, to inspire others, and to encourage each other by leading not from in front of the pack, but not from behind the pack pushing, but amongst the pack.
That was a mic drop, Dr. Carol Penn. I just want to remind,
I'd like to add to that. I think what I see among my peers and
that's Dr. Ian Cyrus.
My colleagues and peers is there is this appearance of learned helplessness. I see, and what that generates is fear, and people they feel helpless. One of the things that happens is this whole thing about cognitive dissonance, because there is so much misinformation that's being put out there that people can't separate the wheat from the chaff, right? And that induces a amount of, fear in people, rather than, like I said earlier, using this as an opportunity for self-evolution and transformation. This is unprecedented. I mean, I have a huge segment of my patient population won't come into the office because they are just plain scared. So I do a lot of email blasts. I do a lot of Zoom conferences with my client base just to prod them forward, because that's what an acupuncture needle does. It prods, right? Prod them for self-evolution. And it's working, but it's very slow.
Yeah, but how do you do acupuncture over Zoom?
Well, you know what? I have
You send them the needles and they're like, okay, now put it in your...
Absolutely.
You do? Oh, my Lord. Nope.
Yes.
No.
I mean,
you did school. I'm not.
Listen, this is what I do. I mean, we have, Oriental medicine is a broad medical paradigm, and there's so many modalities we can use. not just an acupuncture needle. So I do some telemedicine, and if I have to send them products in the mail, I'll package it up and send it, and then I'll do a Zoom conference with them and teach them how to use it.
What about Reiki? Do you do Reiki?
Well, yeah, that's part of, in my medicine, we call it Qigong.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what it's evolving into. You know, so we have to meet people where they are.
You're right. But I feel like if I'm seeing an acupuncturist, I'm going to the acupuncturist to get acupuncture. Like, don't send me the needle, sir.
Well, you know what? Part of it, my goal as a practitioner is to teach people how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, I get it.
You see? So.
I want to remind everybody that this is Founders Day. So happy Founders Day to everybody. And we are celebrating the legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax Jr. He was very passionate about health and wellness, along with the economic empowerment and wealth creation to transform Black communities. And so today, during this panel, this is Well and Woke. No more sick and tired. And our panelists are Dr. Carol Penn, who is an osteopathic physician who specializes in mind-body medicine and Qigong, and she's a meditation teacher, okay? Dr. Paul, who is a holistic practitioner, Dr. Beverly Toporowski, who is a medical doctor and energy healer, Dr. Ian Cyrus, who's an acupuncturist and doctor of Oriental Medicine. And all of these things, all of these modalities used to be, not even but 10, maybe 15 years ago, people used to be like, oh, that's quackery, right? Like, what you are what? Meditation isn't medicine. What you talking about? Qigong, Reiki, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and now what's interesting is that more over the course of the last, my daughter's 15, so I'm going to say over the course of the last 15 years, I don't feel crazy for seeking out these specialties and modalities because more and more people are doing them. And I'm wondering if treating the body as a whole ecosystem is the wave, if that's what it's going to look like as we are building this well care system. But I want to talk, I would love for us to go around the room and talk about each of your specific modalities, the things that you do, how you treat your patients, and how that puts them on the path to wholeness and wellness in a way that could be inspiring to folks who are like, you know what, I got this thing going on that I could never get rid of. I wonder if your modality would help.
Well, I could start off with that one. What I do, and I want to just really step on at one point that both Ian and Dr.
That's
Carol
Dr. Paul.
About. Yep. And
that's for the people in the radio.
That's for people on the radio. That's right. You know, we have not been really conditioned to think outside the box. We've been always, led to follow. And now with the impression that now you have to step outside that box, you have to think for yourself. You have to take care of yourself now. That's where people are now coming to the front to say, what can I do? Because if you've been diagnosed with COVID-19, first thing they tell you is take some, an aspirin, orange juice, and go lay down, go home and confine, and literally wait for 2 weeks. But what is it that you need to do? People are saying, I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing. I got to do something. And that's where people are starting to find out, what do I need to do? Build the immune system. The leadership of our country is not talking about holistic health, meaning talk about building the immune system, feeding the body. We believe that in the natural field, if you feed the body in turn corrects itself 11 times faster than you get sick. So
and what do you mean by feed the body? Let's get specific.
Yeah. So if you're dealing with the body, you're feeding the body the proper nutrients. The biggest problem is that we don't have proper foods that have the proper nutrients. The industrialization has caused an effect with our food source. So we're living.
So the canned soup, I'm not coming anybody's neck, but the canned soup is probably not going to do it. You're probably going to need some vegetable broth made from scratch, right? That I keep in my freezer.
How about some raw food? How about some raw food?
Raw food, okay. So juices. I'm getting specific. What are we talking about here?
Absolutely. So we try to bring people through a path of being more holistic and closer to the source. So one of the testing that I do is called the RM3A, which is a full body assessment test where we take a oxygen odometer on your finger, we put a blood pressure monitor on your arm, and literally you place your feet on what's called galvanic skin response pads. And from that, in about 15 minutes, can scan the entire body and tell you exactly what's going on, what we call 8 risk factors. And from those 8 risk factors, everything from the autonomic system, nerve damage, things like insulin resistance, also neuropathy, issues with cardiometabolic rate, all those things that are the primary factors to do what we call a baseline. So when you talk about modality for someone to get well, they need to find out where they are right now, and that means baseline. And from the baseline, you move forward, because every herb is not for everybody. Everyone has a different thing that's affecting them, and therefore you want to address them where they are, and then from there, move forward. So that's usually what we use as a baseline. Also, we use what's called the urine analysis, because we believe also that there's all of everything is in the urine. We call that the scene of the crime. So from there, we move forward.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You said the scene of the crime. I'm not going to start.
Everything that's going on with someone. So it's important because people are surprised about the very things that, that are going on. When you think you're well, you may not be doing as well as you think so. And then for people that are they feel like I'm not feeling so well, there may be some small things they have to tweak with themselves, but it's always important to get a baseline. That's why baseline have some form of diagnosis before you move forward.
You're listening to 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. This is the Woke and Well panel. We have 4 of some of the most brilliant physicians, holistic practitioners, Dr. Carol Penn. We have Dr. Paul, who is a naturopathic physician. We have Dr. Beverly Toporowski, energy healer. Dr. Ian Cyrus, acupuncturist, doctor of Oriental Medicine. It's such a powerful time. That's why we're doing this particular panel, not only because it's Founders Day and we are celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax Jr., who is the founder of WURD Radio, who is also a Philadelphia born and bred physician. He was an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, media owner, but also because he was passionate about health and wellness. And I think it's so appropriate to have this conversation at a time such as this, because we are at, some would say, ground zero. We are at the space. You said it was, what did you call it? It was a something event?
Extinction
event. Could be. I don't like to focus in the doom and gloom, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be if some of us don't want to, get with the program. I also think that part of how we got here, and I think our current administration kind of represents that level, that below the firmament, you know what I'm saying, where folks want to argue about essentially powerlessness and selfishness. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're not going to be able to have higher conversations if we're in this hell loop talking about this stuff that's not helping anything. And so you got folks who are, and I'm not calling you anything, but you got folks down here like, I'm not going to wear a mask. And so we get to stay in this hell loop of everybody got to wear a mask who's sane. And we got to stay home still because we still got folks arguing over that. So we talked a little bit earlier about, those who can must. We talked about those who have the wherewithal will go and do the things that they need to do. And we'll just have to, keep raising the vibration, hoping that some folks will get sick and tired of being sick and tired, but we woke and well. You know what I'm talking about? And so I want to continue to go around the room and talk about our modalities. Dr. Paul was speaking about his work and the work that he does. And I need that machine. I don't physically want one in my house, but I want to be in there. Let's go and talk to Dr. Beverly about her work as a medical doctor and energy healer. What does that even mean for the folks in the back?
Sure. So energy healing really I came into because I was always interested in how consciousness affects the body, consciousness affects the mind, and energy healing is sort of looking at the energy patterns that are put into place by our consciousness. And so whether that's we talk about auras and chakras and all these things, which are really just our channels of perception, and the consciousness or the aura that people talk about really is that energy that projects the body. So our thoughts, our feelings, our emotion, our past, our belief systems that basically come into play to creating what becomes our perceived reality. And so in my practice, I work for Virtua, I'm a medical doctor, but my prime interest is, as I've said, has been with consciousness and healing. And so I try to get people to really connect with the self. My passion is awakening to this true self, which is really about connecting with, what you truly are. And so in meditation, a lot of people, when you say meditation, they're like, oh God, I can't do that. I can't slow my mind down. I can't, and they really start to shy away from it. But it's really about allowing everything to be as it is. I mean, that's what meditation is. So when you sit down to meditate and, you feel sensations in your skin, you hear noise, the floor creaking, or your thoughts are busy, you give no sensation or sense any more importance than any other sense. And so you just allow it to be. And then as you begin to connect with yourself, what you realize is that the stillness becomes louder because you have, you're in a place of allowance where you can recognize the stillness, you can recognize the silence, you can recognize the peace. And so what you want to do is be able to do that in your life, where your life becomes a walking meditation. So meditation is not something where you sit down on a cushion for an hour and then, get up and kick the dog. You want to, you want to bring that peace, that awareness, and that consciousness.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
So the thing is that causality, which is something that people need to understand too. I know a lot of people are into the law of attraction, and there's something I can do in here to affect something out there. But what causality truly is, it's coming to the place of understanding that, what we keep experiencing in our lives, what we keeps coming up as your experience is more or less because of what you're believing. So then when we have it.
Whoa. Don't vote over that. You might need to say that one again, a little bit louder though.
I was saying what comes up in your life as an appearance or an experience or a condition or a struggle or a problem is coming up, and it's mirroring back to you something that you are believing, something that you are agreeing with. So
hold on a moment. We need to take a breath. The world is held together by our agreements and our conversations about those agreements. Continue. I'm sorry.
So it's powerful for people to understand that, because when we have a desire, and a lot of times people have a lot of negative experience with desire, the desire for abundance, desire for financial stability, the desire for healthy relationship, whatever it is that you're desiring, have that desire because it is already happening. And so we usually block what's coming because we get into a place where we are grasping, we are holding on, and we are in this place of I don't have. And because we're powerful, and on a microcosmic level, we are God. On a microcosmic level, the world must give you what you are asking for. And so you basically, if you understand that and you become a walking question of, is this true? Then you can transform not only your own life, you can transform and raise the vibration of people around you. You could do more through what you are, more than you could ever do through any action. And so this is what I would try to communicate with patients or people that I come into contact with, because, a lot of these truths, people are not exposed to. And, if they knew that it was that simple, how could they live? How could things look differently? Even when the catastrophic things start to happen, So
I was wondering, so have you treated patients in your practice who have COVID? Have you treated patients as of yet?
So I'm in primary care.
Okay.
People who we even think have COVID do not come through the door because they're exposing elderly, they're exposing children. So they get referred to testing centers and they get dealt with on a different level. We are treating the well in terms of COVID versus not COVID in a primary care.
Have any of you seen any patients who have COVID? Because I'm wondering in this, and this is just me being a life explorer, if there is like a feeling tone to COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody has COVID, is there like an energy feeling to that? Is there a vibration? We understand that viruses don't make the condition, that we are the condition that viruses come into, right? And then am I saying that correctly? Like the virus doesn't make the condition. We have to be a condition for the virus to be happy with. Yeah. And so if that's the case, I'm wondering if there is a feeling tone to someone who has COVID. You know what I'm saying? If there's like a vibration to them. And this is not, saying that it's your fault. I'm just asking a question.
I don't know about anyone else. That hasn't been my experience. A lot of the times, a lot of the people who have COVID are asymptomatic completely.
Right.
But in terms of the feeling tone of it, that's not been in my case.
So there's nothing in the aura?
No. And the thing is for me, in terms of sensing energy, I am more empathic than visual. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Dr. Carol Penn.
All right. I'm loving being on this panel and listening and learning. One of the things that I do in my world, I sort of have my practice in primary care that's, one foot in the traditional world. And then I also have what I do in health and wellness coaching, outside of the primary care office. Because a lot of people come to me because they are confused. They want some unpacking. They know that, okay, the traditional pathway hasn't worked for me, or they don't want to be on as many medications. You go to many traditional healthcare professionals and they write a prescription for a pharmaceutical. That's the experience. I show up, you fix me, my insurance is going to pay the bill. And some are really beginning to see that paradigm is not working. And the pandemic has really brought a lot of that to light, with underscoring of the healthcare disparities and just showing how fractured what we think of here in America as the traditional medical community, how fractured and dysfunctional that is. And, where it has just fallen completely apart in many, many, many cases, hence, look at the numbers, look at all the deaths that we've had in this country. So what I do in health and wellness coaching is I am able to take the time to encourage the person to tell their story. There is a healing in the telling of one story, particularly if you could tell one story into a receptive vesicle, if you will, someone who is doing active listening, who is not going to disrupt you, who is not going to look, 7 minutes, gotta go, gotta chart, gotta read a lab, and, answer a few phone calls, out the door you go. So it is, it's delightful to be able to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with a person, just first of all, getting their story. Oftentimes, the pathway to wellness, the answer to wellness, regardless of how it's ultimately going to look, is in the person tells it themselves. If you listen enough, they will give you the diagnosis. They'll give you what's wrong. They will cue you into the trauma that occurred that led up to that. And then from there, I try to have a person look across all the areas. Wellness and vitality is much more than your diagnosis in one area. It's, what is your sexuality? What is your creativity? What is your finances? What is your work-life purpose? All of those areas. What is your spirituality? And do you feel you are excelling in those areas? And sometimes we find the 2 or 3 areas that the person feels that they have the lowest success in or the lowest resonance with. And we might begin to work there. And if, a win anywhere is a win everywhere, because they're always the epigenetics. It's always, everything is always impacting everything else. And then, you know, from there, slowly building, first of all, does the person believe they can get well if it's a disease process? You know, Dr. Beverly was just speaking about that. So they have to believe, you know, I can send you to the best of whatever, but if you don't believe that you can be healed, you know.
Wow.
You know,
you're worthy of healing. Like, is that part of it too? A lot of us are kind of suffering from.
That's a part of it too. So I really like to work on, you know, the person's self-esteem, the person's perceptions of themselves. And then I also take another part. People will ask me, well, what is acupuncture? What is an ND versus an MD versus a DO? You know, so breaking these things down so people, you know, what is energy medicine? You know, what is Qigong? What is Reiki? So to be able to break these things down so a person understands the modalities and understands the options. And the other thing that I like to clue a person into, so some people say, well, you know, when I go to the such and such, I want it to be, you know, a black man between the ages of here and here. And I was like, well, I understand what you're asking, but don't assume because of the outward appearance that what you're getting is going to be a vibrational match. Don't assume. People say, oh, I want a woman doctor. Well, if you're a woman doctor, you had to have more cojones than the men did to get through our training system.
Listen.
And unless you have done the work to uncouple yourself from that, you don't want me to send you to a woman doctor just because, you know, phenotypically they appear as if you're asking for a certain amount of a level of consciousness, and you're looking for a vibrational match that allows there to be the sacred healing partnership and relationship.
Sacred healing partnership. I think that is so powerful. I went to acupuncture a couple times. I took a couple sessions, and my husband and I got into a car accident, and you know, we had it. I want to say we had a session, but we missed it or something like that. She's like, no, you need to come in, because a car accident, that energy stays in your body for 10 years. I had no idea that you hold energy of trauma. And you talk about somebody that's into all this, you know? So I didn't have any idea. Can you imagine the kinds of trauma people are holding in their bodies beyond a car accident? You know what I'm saying? And if you think about it, I'm wondering, you know, do we hold that in our physical cells? And do they hide in places? And like, how do you get it out? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, if you don't know, and for so many people who think that this is weird or whatever, like, how do you convince somebody that their healing is probably not going to happen in the traditional way that we have been used to looking at health and healing and wholeness? Is that even a thing that we can do? Convince somebody? Do we have to be on social media like, look at me with needles in my arm?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Ian, your turn.
Wow.
How do I follow that?
Yes, how do I follow? How do I follow that? But let me just speak directly to what I do. The Oriental Medicine. First of all, I'm not really an acupuncturist. That's like what I am is a practitioner of this medical paradigm that is known as Oriental Medicine, even though the term Oriental is not really politically correct, but that's what we have. Acupuncture is just one of three main modalities in this medicine. So we have acupuncture, we have herbal medicine, which includes nutrition, and we have body work, which is soft tissue manipulation and structural manipulation as well. As a matter of fact, the chiropractic profession came out of Oriental medicine, just a small portion of it. So when a patient comes to see me, I engage in a very complex system of assessment and diagnoses. We do things like pulse diagnosis, which is a very complex thing. It's a reflection it's like a holographic reflection of what's going on inside of the body. So I can palpate someone's pulses, and what I'm palpating is 12 different systems, and say to you, look, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to take this. And, you know, it gives me insight in that way, which is a lost art for a lot of practitioners. And then we do tongue diagnosis, where you look at the topography of the tongue and you can tell what's going on internally in someone's 12 major organ systems.
I'm going to look at my tongue.
Yeah. Well, let me give you an example. If you look at your tongue and there is a midline crack, you know, from the center of the tongue all the way to the tip of the tongue, if that crack goes all the way to the tip of the tongue, well, then you're likely to be, at some point in your lifetime, experience some kind of cardiac issue.
Oh, really? Let me see.
Okay.
I don't think I have one all the way to the tip.
Yes.
But everybody's got a line in there, right?
Right. If you have a line in there and through that line there's a yellow coat, that means you have some kind of digestive dysfunction.
No yellow coat. Okay,
right,
what else?
So, okay, so those are just some examples.
All right, I'm looking at my tongue. You got to tell me what's wrong with my tongue. No, I think I'm fine.
But, you know, so, you know, those are just some of the things that we do. Of course, you know, my doctoral training was more in the area of integrative medicine than anything else. I'm very, how should I put it? I do evidence-based practice.
What does that mean?
Meaning I utilize available research. Like I spend a lot of time on PubMed, for instance. And PubMed is the research engine for the National Institutes of Health, where a lot of research, current research, in every field that you can think about is on PubMed. So for instance, like last night I did a talk on Facebook about meditation. And I went to PubMed and I downloaded some articles about the effect of meditation on the immune response mechanism. Okay? And I share that with my clients the same way, or acupuncture and low back pain. There's tons of research. Acupuncture and digestive dysfunctions, there's tons of research. I'm talking about gold standard research. So it helps me to make clear clinical decisions and gain my patients' confidence. Because you can't argue with current research too much. It is what it is.
Listen, folks will try.
Yeah. So, but the thing about acupuncture as a modality, it's the main modality. You cannot insert in, because what it is, you're manipulating energy. That's what you're doing. This thing called chi. So every time I put a needle in, it engenders, you know, evolution. It's not just about that needle. It moves the energy, and when you move the energy in one spot, the whole body responds. You know, even though I don't talk about psycho-emotional issues too much with my clients, but that is a part of my consciousness with them. So I may prod them towards evolution in that way, and then suddenly they would start talking about their psycho-emotional state. And then I might say to them, okay, let's do this, or I'll refer you to a psychologist or a DO or an MD, because here's what I think, you know, you need more people on your healthcare team.
Yes.
So I see myself as, you know, about the 5 men who are grasping the elephant. Well, I'm one of those people grasping the elephant. We're not complete in our understanding of things. So, you know, my healthcare team involves every member of the healthcare community as practitioners.
That's dope. But okay, so we're taught, right? Traditionally, we're taught that we have one doctor, and we go to the doctor when we don't feel well, right? But you have to really, 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 really not feel well, because Robitussin, right?
For everything.
You know what I'm saying? Robitussin, Windex, if you Greek. You know what I'm saying? What else? Benadryl, whatever it is. What else?
That's right.
Ginger ale, sorry, ginger ale. And it's got to be Schweppes. Is it Schweppes or... Oh, shit, look at it. I'm sorry, Seagram's. I'm sorry. Sorry, I grew up in Bucks County. Forgive me. But But now as we're evolving, right, and we are in this space where, again, ground zero, where this cataclysmic event has given us an opportunity to look at things differently. And we can create a well care system, an actual healthcare system that can really, really, really work for everyone. And rather than it be one of those things where you have one primary physician, you have one, you know what I'm saying? Would it be fabulous, right, if we could put together a team of practitioners that all work together in tangent for each individual person? It would be really interesting. I don't know how y'all would do it, but you know what I'm saying? Like each person, you have your team, like you get on a group call like this and you be like, okay, what's wrong with you, Becky? What's wrong? Okay.
Yep, I hear that.
You know what I'm saying? And it turns into this whole different way that we begin to look at our health. Well, I think that you need a session with acupuncture. I think you need a Reiki session as well. I also think you need a colonic. And you know what I'm saying? Like where everybody kind of goes together and comes together with a team approach to health and wellness. You might need to go talk to someone, but it's not the way that it is, so disjointed and scary and weird. I want to take this time to remind everybody that you are listening to, first of all, it's Founders Day. Happy Founders Day. And we are celebrating the life and the legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax Jr., who was Philadelphia born and raised. He was a physician. He was down. And when I talk about he was down and passionate about health and wellness, along with economic empowerment, wealth creation as ways to transform Black communities. I am so inspired to be on this panel. My name is MV McKee, by the way, for those who are not used to listening to me at this time. I'm normally on Friday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. But I am here hosting this gorgeous panel, Well and Woke. No More Sick and Tired. And I think that it's so appropriate that we have Dr. Carol Penn, who is an osteopathic physician who specializes in mind-body medicine and Qigong, and she's a meditation teacher. I feel like everybody on this panel teaches meditation in their practice, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. So meditation is key. Do not get it twisted. If you really and truly want to begin a path, if you want to take a step that begins your lifelong journey to wellness and wholeness, meditation is going to center that practice. All of these astute people will tell you that. We have Dr. Paul, who is a doctor of naturopathic medicine. He's a holistic practitioner. He's like, listen, we doing raw food. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get out. Do you ever pull out your prescription pad and be like, you need more vegetables? You ever do that? Yep. We have Dr. Beverly Toporowski, who is an MD. She's an energy healer as well. Dr. Ian Cyrus, acupuncturist, doctor of Oriental Medicine, even though we understand Oriental is not PC. And so it's like I'm looking at this. It's like you guys have found a way to do the same thing but different. And I think that is so reminiscent of, how we can use our unique gifts to leave kind of to leave the world our work, if that makes sense. Like we're each here to do something special and different and unique and put our, as the kids say, put our stank on it. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And I feel like this is a powerful way to look at our health and our wellness. Like we're not going to get there. Like as unique as I am, Kayla, like what's gonna heal me and see me in wholeness is gonna be different for Kayla. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be different for Joss. It's gonna be different for Sarah. Like we're each unique individual people, and to have a healthcare system, a sick care system that doesn't treat me as an individual is part of the reason, I'm asking if you agree, that we have the system that we have right now that is just broken and stank and falling apart. Because we don't treat people as people. We treat them as cogs in a wheel. Would you agree? Absolutely.
I would say definitely that's going back into, as my colleagues were saying, really transformation happens with the first renewing of your mind, but also knowing your gift, knowing your power. You know, and when we come in to this realm of the holistic health, that's what we're trying to do, is bring you into a perspective of finding out what is your best gift. What is God's gift to you that you need to develop? And sometimes, you know, there's a stagnation in your life that starts to make the reason why you're going to have to move in that direction, such as a COVID-19. When you shut it down, so now that you can hear the noise, you can decipher all the noise out of your life. Now you can move forward in that direction. So yes, it means a lot to have a holistic approach, but also to know your gift, and that, you know, this is the time to find your gift. And if you want to do that, tap into that gift right now. This is a perfect time to do that. You know, more people have discovered, you know, very simple things like my son just realized he can cook a little bit, you know, and he's home all the time, you know, and he started to now get into things that I was trying to introduce him to a long time ago. But now these are things that everyone's doing. You're learning something about yourself. This is an evolution time for all of us. It's an empowerment and enlightenment time, but it also is a time to find your gift. You got to find your gift.
Yeah. Well, I want to we have about, 10 minutes left? For those of you who are on the Facebook Live, hi, those of you who are listening, if you have questions, we're not actually taking calls, but you can go to the Facebook Live and you can put your question in the comments section and we will get to them. We have about 10 minutes, right? 10, 11, 12 minutes. So questions, this is the time now for questions for our doctors, and I'll make sure that they get Kayla. Well, you getting on the mic, right? No? Okay. Fine. That's fine. Whatever. So I'm wondering if you okay, so I want to play a little visioning game here. If we could have the best healthcare system on the planet, like literally you could just vision it into existence, which we can. What would be, for each of you, like we'll go around the room, we'll start with Dr. Carol Penn. What would be a must-have for us to have this awesome healthcare system, the best in the world? Like it's going to lead and transform every healthcare system in existence. Like we're going there.
All right. Well, I will start with, there needs to be some form of universal health care. I believe that health care is the birthright of a citizen. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start there with making health care accessible to all. I also love the idea of what you were talking about, Envy, where a person, it could even take place in a forum like Zoom. We're going to use this technology, and as my husband would say, the techno primo, where a person would come, they have a question about their health, and then there would be Dr. Beverly, Dr. Ian, Dr. Paul. We'd all be sitting around there. We'd be listening to the patient as, you know, we're taking the patient's history, and then we would each be able to give input into that person and eventually come up with a unique wellness plan for that match the uniqueness of that individual. Mm-hmm. So, and I think we can use the technology to bring some of this about, because as Dr. Ian was saying, you know, we don't have, you know, all of the knowledge. We have a portion of the knowledge. And like the 5 men and the elephant, if we each made our contribution, we're going to come up with that whole and that holistic picture for the individual. So I would like to see more healing roundtables. I would like to see more.
Is that a thing that actually exists, or you just made it up just now?
I just kind of came to me just now.
History has been made. Healing roundtables. Somebody write that down. It's a thing. And then Dr. Ian be like, let me see your tongue.
That's right. Let me see your tongue. And that there would be this kind of collegiality. I would love to have, you know, whether, I don't know if it's a monthly conversation, a weekly, a bi-monthly conversation with these type of minds, because I'm only going to be a better human being after I have conversations, transformative conversations with Dr. Beverly, Dr. Paul, and Dr. Ian. I think it's important for us to find each other as well, as collectively re-envision medicine.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. Beverly?
I like Carol's vision. No.
I do too.
No, really. The universal health care definitely, I think the idea of having just the diversity of directions that one could go in to just get what they need. And also be educated, because a lot of people aren't educated about, what's available, so that there would be, education about, this is what you could benefit from, and I think foremost at the top of that would be some form of self-awareness. In my experience, I've worked in a lot of underserved communities, and there's just a brokenness that I've seen that requires healing before a person can even get up from under themselves.
That's right.
And go in the direction that they need to go. So I do think that there's definitely, on that healing level, just, mind, consciousness, body, and just knowing that, that their experience doesn't define them. So I think that that's foremost, and then, move into the area where you can benefit, integrate, be worthy of all the love that's coming their way.
Like take a nap. You know what I'm saying? Have you any of you heard of the Nap Ministry? It's on Instagram, and the what is she called? She calls herself the deacon, the bishop, the Nap Bishop, and she's basically saying that rest is the revolution, because grind culture has basically just grinded us into the ground. So we right now, why so many people can kind of think differently is because they've had a chance to sleep. They don't have to, you know what I'm saying, just constantly just grind. And so I wonder if having 4-day work weeks and summers off might be part of our healthcare system too. I'm wondering, Dr. Ian, if you want to go now, because you always, how do I follow that? Or if you want to.
Okay. I'll wait. That's okay.
You said you'll wait? Well, I have to, I want to, okay, Dr. Paul, and then Dr. Ian, we're asking what would be in the best healthcare system in the world, and then we have 2 questions.
Sure. My perspective on total universal health care, it's interesting that we're having this conversation. I sit on the board of the United Nations Special Consulting Group, which means that we talk about these very issues, universal health care. How does everyone be inclusive, yet be informed at the same time? I believe that, from my practice, what we see a lot of is that people don't get all of the answers. It tends to be that they say, well, wow, if I knew this before, I wouldn't have done that. And that means that you didn't get all the information to begin with. So what we try to do is to get all the information. A total universal care package for me would be that the person has the choice and the option to do either option that they would want to do, whether it's allopathic, homeopathic, or naturopathic.
And get to know what those things mean.
Exactly. So allopathic going, with these suppressive symptoms, they're going to go against the body, but they're going to have their philosophical understanding. Homeopathic is another one, which is actually like those like. And then you have naturopathy, which we believe that everything is in the earth for your healing. So if you want to actually know that it's a godly concept that, the earth provides everything. We say the trees are for the healing of the nation. The herbs are the meat of the earth. But at least you'll have the option to make a choice, to make a better informed decision about whatever your condition is. But I believe also that you need to approach it from all 3 levels, both spirit, mind, and body, because there are people that are traumatized. I see a lot of people that have a lot of trauma. And I notice on our perspective as an African holistic practitioner, I see a lot of people with the liver. The liver is actually what we call the organ of the emotions, drama, trauma, whatever it is, we can see it right in your liver. It's the only organ connected directly to your brain. We call it laws of complementary pairs. So that means that when someone's going through something, you need to look at it from all perspectives so that they can make a better informed decision. That's why sometimes I'll sit with folks, 1 or 2 hours just to break it down, because the medical system tends to move too fast, get you in and out. And I think you mentioned that earlier. That's an excellent point. No bedside manner. Yeah, you got 3 months to live, and walk out the room.
Good luck with that.
Kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that makes people, depressed and sends them into a state of that downward spiral. So we're trying to do, as holistic healers and practitioners, just to bring people to a perspective, universal principle, let them make their choice, but let them get all the information, which is the most powerful thing you can do.
Absolutely. What about you, Dr. Ian? And by the way, we got about 4 minutes left, and we still got these questions. And listen, this question may actually be for you and Dr. Carol. Can acupuncture cure smoking? And can every... Oh, okay. Okay. Can acupuncture cure smoking? And then we're going to go around the room, and you guys are spelling your names. Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Ian.
Okay. All right. My ideal in healthcare is to cease the division between this medical paradigm, that medical paradigm. To me, it's not about Oriental medicine or naturopathic medicine or any other kind of medicine. It's all medicine. And when we get to the point where we can all sit at this round table, okay, and each be a valued contributor to what's on that table, then the healthcare system will evolve.
Yeah.
Until then, we are so divided, not just, white versus black, Republican versus Democrat, and then we have the same kind of thing going on in the medical community as well. There are people who feel they need to protect their turf, but there's all kind of socioeconomic implications to that.
Yeah.
That has to end. And patients will see it. And they make choices based on what they're seeing. So when a patient walks into my clinic, the instant I meet them, to me, that's when the healing begins. It really has very little to do with me sticking an acupuncture needle in them, because we all pull to us exactly what we need. And I only attract a certain kind of client, hence the law of attraction that someone mentioned earlier, okay? I mean, it's really interesting. Most of my clients come in two distinct categories: sports medicine and infertility.
Interesting.
Exactly.
But that makes sense, though.
Okay. So, I'll answer the smoking question when we get to it.
No, we're there. We're there.
Okay.
We have 1 minute.
The answer is yes. But I got to tell you, smoking, I do a lot of that as well. And I do a lot of addiction treatment as well. Smoking is the most difficult thing to treat. Never mind drug and alcohol addiction. Put that aside. Smoking is harder than those two.
Is it because of the triggers? Like it's really based on a trigger or something, or trauma?
There's such a strong psychological hold on people. I tell patients, I do a phone interview first before I even take a patient like that. Unless they have tried at least 6 or 7 times, I'm not even going to bother.
So it's got to be like a last resort.
They have to really want to do it, and I have to feel like they want to do it.
Well, I used to smoke and I quit. It happened. But I didn't do it through acupuncture, though. I changed my diet.
Okay, it's good. It takes discipline to do that.
Yes, it does. But but really, it was more than my diet. It was I changed my environment. And when I say diet, I mean like the people that were around me. I noticed that certain kinds of people triggered me to have that compulsion. And even though I had physically quit smoking, I was vaping and all that other stuff. But that need to have that hand to mouth, it was something that I felt from being around specific kind of people. And once I figured out not to be around them people, I no longer had the compulsion. So there it went. So saying all that, this panel, Well and Woke, is now officially closed, but I don't want this to be the end. Like, I want to carry this over to later or something. Can we go around the room really quick and tell folks where they can get in touch with you if they are interested in your practice?
Should I jump in and start?
Yes.
So
Dr. Carol Penn.
all social media at Dr. Carol Penn, that's DrCarolPenn, across all social media. I have a book, Meditation in a Time of Madness, a guidebook for talented teens, tweens, their parents and guardians who need to thrive. The audience is parents and families, teachers and kids, parents and kids. And also just email me, info at Dr. Carol Penn, info at DrCarolPenn.com, and I will get back to you.
All right, Dr. Beverly.
Yes, I can be reached at bodyinsouleawareness.com. And my medical practice is in Mansfield, which is very far from probably most of the people listening to this radio show in Mansfield, New Jersey.
Girl, we travel.
I know, right?
We got cars.
So yeah, so Bev, like my name, Bev at bodyandsouleawareness.com.
What about you, Dr. Paul?
Yes, I am. Number one, I'm here on the greatest radio station in the world, WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Dr. Paul Holistic Health Show, and also on Sundays at 3 o'clock on the Green Hour. And I can be reached directly at 215-779-7355. I'm also on web at www.drpaul, all one word, herbs, HERB as in boy, s.com. And we look very forward to, diving into this conversation even more. I would love to have everyone on my show at some point in the time so that we can talk a little further. And I thank you so much for this opportunity and representing Dr. Lomax and all that he represented in the entire family to keep this word going. All
Absolutely.
right?
What about you, Dr. Ian?
Yes, my practice is located in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, and the name of my practice is the Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine Center, LLC. My website is eastasianmed.com, and my office phone number is 215-277-7554. And I also lead a meditation and Buddhist studies group, and you can contact me at the same number.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for Well and Woke. My name is Envy McKee. This is WURD. Happy Founders Day. We are celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Walter P. Lomax, and we are so grateful for you to listening throughout the course of for this whole day. We'll be going strong until 9 p.m. Ain't that right, Kayla? 9 p.m. So there's more. Sarah, right? Sarah? Dr. Lomax's gorgeous daughter and our our CEO of this here fabulous WURD 900 AM 96.1 FM. She is up next. We'll be right back.
Give me today my daily bread.